welcome to this presentation. In this presentation, we are going to discuss on multi-dimensional arrays in C. So in the previous presentation, we discussed on what is an array, how to declare an array, and how to initialize an array in different ways. So in the previous presentation, we saw the concept of arrays and a single dimensional array. So in this presentation, we are going to discuss on multi-dimensional arrays. We also called it as a 2D array. So in C programming, you can create an array of arrays. So these arrays are known as multi-dimensional arrays. An array of arrays is known as 2D array. The two-dimensional array in C programming is also known as matrix. A matrix can be represented as a table of rows and columns. So let us see how to declare a two-dimensional integer array of size x and y. So we write the statement something as follows. So we have the data type, the array name, and in square bracket we can find the counter x, and in another square bracket you can have a counter value y. So where type can be any valid C data type. It can be integer, it can be float or a character. And array name will be a valid C identifier. So array name is a valid identifier. A two-dimensional array can be considered as a table which will have x number of rows and y number of columns. So here x represents the rows and y represents the columns. So the value that we specify in the square brackets represents the rows and columns. So a two-dimensional array named as x contains 3 rows and 4 columns as shown in the example. So we have an example where we have declared a data type as float, the array name as x, and in the first square bracket we have the value 3 which represents the rows, and in the next square bracket we have the value 4 which represents the columns. So you can see float x of 3 and 4 is the way we represent a two-dimensional array. So here x is a two-dimensional array. So this array can hold 12 elements. So 3 rows and 4 columns. So 3 into 4. So total 12 elements we can store in this array. So you can think the array as a table with 3 rows and 4 columns as shown in the figure. So here we can see that we have 3 rows, row 1, row 2, row 3, and 4 columns, column 1, column 2, column 3, and column 4. Thus every element in an array X is identified by an element name of the form x of I and j, where x is the name of the array and I and j are the subscripts that uniquely identify each element in X. So in a single dimensional array, we had the index value through which we could access the individual elements inside the array. So in two-dimensional array, we have the subscripts that uniquely identify each element in X. So if I want to access the first element that is stored inside the array, it will be the first element, that is the first row and first column, that is X of 0, 0. So when I say 0, 0, it is the first element that I am accessing from the two-dimensional array. So when I say 0, 1, that is the first row and second column. So I will be accessing the second element that is stored inside the two-dimensional array. So this is how you can see the subscript values which uniquely identify the elements stored in the multi-dimensional array. So you can, using these subscript values, I can access any of the element that is stored inside the two-dimensional array. So let us see how do we initialize a multi-dimensional array. So multi-dimensional arrays may be initialized by specifying bracketed values for each row. Following is an array with 3 rows and each row has 4 columns. So let us take an example where I have declared a two-dimensional array. The array name is X of type integer and it has 3 rows and 4 columns. So I assign the values to this multi-dimensional array in the format shown. So here I use a curly braces and inside that I use another curly braces to represent the values initialized for every row. So here you can see I have started with the curly braces. Inside that I have represented 3 rows and each row contains 4 different values. So the row indexed by 0 contains the values 0, 1, 2 and 3. I complete the curly brackets, comma. The second row is indexed by 1, which contains the values 4, 5, 6 and 7, enclosed in the curly braces, comma, and the row indexed by 2 contains the values 8, 9, 10 and 11, enclosed in curly braces. So we have 3 rows and 4 columns array. So total we have entered 12 elements inside this two-dimensional array, and finally we complete it with a curly braces and a semicolon. So in this initialization, the nested braces which indicates the intended row. So here nested braces are the braces that covers the elements, like we have 0, 1, 2 and 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7, 8, 9, 10 and 11 are optional. Meaning we can see it in the next example. So the following initialization is equivalent to the previous example. So this is another way of initializing a 2D array. So once again I make use of the same array that I have used in my previous example. So I have declared an array name of x with the data type integer having 3 rows and 4 columns. So another way of initializing the elements to this two-dimensional array, we have equal to curly braces, and I mentioned the number of elements that I want to store inside this two-dimensional array. So as 3 rows and 4 columns, totally I am able to store 12 elements in this array. So I have entered all the elements separated by commas in a curly brackets ending with a semicolon. So this is one way of initializing a two-dimensional array. So that's what I said. We have an optional of using a nested process while initializing the values in a two-dimensional array. So let us also see some of the different ways to initialize two-dimensional arrays. In the first example we have int x of 2, 3, where we have 2 rows and 3 columns. So here is the first method. We have curly braces. In that we have another nested braces which represents 1, 3, 0 and comma. Another nested process we have 1, -1, 5 and 9. So this is one way. Another way of initializing is int x of, I have not specified the size, but the column size has been specified. Totally we have 3 columns. So we are going to have the new elements assigned equal to, in curly braces, 1, 3, 0 again, -1, 5, 9. So here you can see that by default in the first square bracket the computer will assign it as 2. That means 2 rows and 3 columns. And the third way of initializing is directly I initialize the value that I am going to store it equal to, in curly braces, 1, 3, 0, -1, 5 and 9. So these are some of the different ways of initializing a two-dimensional array. So few things that you must consider while initializing a two-dimensional array. We already know when we initialize a normal array, as you can see it as a one-dimensional array, during declaration we need not to specify the size of it. However, that's not the case with two-dimensional array. So you must always specify the second dimension, that is the column. Even if you are specifying elements during the declaration, it is compulsory to specify the size you are going to declare in the second dimension, that is with respect to the column. So let us understand this with the help of few examples. So in the first example we see we have declared an array name ABC of type integer, where we have specified both the dimension as 2, 2, that is 2 rows and 2 columns. So we initialize the values. So 4 values we have initialized as 1, 2, 3 and 4. So this is a valid two-dimensional declaration array. And another example you can see where we have ABC as an array name of type integer, the first dimension value is not been specified, but the second dimensional value has been specified 2. So it is compulsory to specify the value in the second dimension, even though if you have not specified any value in the first dimension. So rows is not been specified, whereas column value has to be specified. In this we have 2. So 1, 2, 3 and 4 are the values. So by default it will take the first dimension value as 2. So it will be again 2 rows and 2 columns. So this is also a valid declaration of a two-dimensional array. In the third example we can see I have not specified neither the size of the first dimension nor the size of the second dimension. So this is an invalid declaration, even though I have specified the elements that are to be stored inside this array. So it will be treated as an invalid declaration. So at least you must specify the second dimension values. So in this case I have neither specified the first dimension or the second dimension. So this is an invalid declaration of a 2D array. Another example where I have specified the first dimension value but I have not specified the second dimensional value. So even though I have initialized the value as 1, 2, 3 and 4, this will be treated as an invalid declaration. The reason being simple, again it is compulsory that you must specify the second dimension. So these are some of the important things that you should remember while initializing a two-dimensional array. So let us understand how to store user input data into a two-dimensional array. First of all, we should know how many elements that we are going to store inside this two-dimensional array. For that, we can calculate how many elements a two-dimensional array can have by using this formula. The array name is ARR, where N1 and N2 are the rows and the columns. We can have n into n1 elements. The array that we have in the example below is having the dimension 5 and 4. So the dimensions are known as subscripts. So this array has first subscript value as 5 and the second subscript value as 4. So the array ABC 5, 4 can have 5 into 4, that is total 20 elements. So to store the elements entered by the user, we are using two for loops. So one of them is a nested loop, that is for within a for. The outer for loop runs from 0 to the first subscript minus 1, and the inner for loop runs from 0 to the second subscript minus 1. So here the first for loop, that is the outer for loop, runs from 0 to the first subscript minus 1. So in the above example we have the first subscript value as 5. So 5 minus 1, 4. And the inner for loop runs from 0 to the second subscript minus 1, where the second subscript represents 4. 4 minus 1. So this way the order in which user enters the element would be ABC of 0, 0. So the first element will be stored at the values 0, 0. So second element that you enter will be stored at 0th row and first column 0, 1, and the third element that you enter will be stored at 0th row and third column, and so on. So this is how we store the user input data into a 2D array. So let us demonstrate this with a simple C program. So here we have a simple program to demonstrate how we read the values from the user and store it in a two-dimensional array. So inside the main function we have seen a declaration of a two-dimensional array. The array name is ABC of type integer, which has 5 rows and 4 columns. So we are going to read totally 20 elements and store it in the array. So the necessary variables that are required are the counter variables I and j. So we have two for loops. One is the outer for loop where I have initialized I equal to 0, I less than 5, I plus plus, and the inner for loop we have for j equal to 0, j less than 4, and j plus plus. So inside this inner for loop we have a printf statement which asks a user to enter the values for the given array. So I have this counter values I and j representing the subscripts of the respective elements that will be stored, and then we have a scanf statement to read and store the values at the location represented by the counter values I and j. So we have a nested for loop here, and you can see here once we run the program, you can see for I equal to 0, 0 is less than 5, I plus plus, that is 0 plus plus, we enter into the inner for loop. So the frequency of outer for loop will be less compared to the inner for loop. Once the inner for loop condition gets false, then we move on to the outer for loop. So this we are reading for the first row values. So for the index row 0, we are going to read the elements and we are going to store those elements with the index row 0. So j equal to 0, 0 is less than 4, j plus plus, the print we enter the for loop. I ask a user to enter the values for the row 0, 0. As the I value is 0, j value is also 0. For the 0, 0 column and row, we store the value that the user enters. So the first value is entered at location 0, 0. Still we are there inside the inner for loop. So j value becomes 1. The condition is satisfied as 1 is less than 4. We once again enter the for loop. Now I value is 0, j value is 1, and then we read the next element which is stored at location 0, 1. Then once again we enter the loop. So j value now is 2, 2 is less than 4. We enter the for loop. I read the value of 0, 2, and the third element is stored. And then I will enter once again. So j value becomes 3, 3 is less than 4. Once again I enter the for loop. So here at 0, 3 I store the fourth element, and once again I enter the inner for loop. Now the j value is 4, 4 is less than 4. Now as we have seen, for the index value for row 0, I have entered all the elements for all the 4 columns that are represented in a single row. So here once the condition fails, once again we go on to the outer for loop where I becomes 1, 1 is less than 5. Now this is the values that I am going to read for the index row 1, and the process repeats. Now here the only change will be the I value will be 1, whereas j will be again starting from 0. So 1 comma 0, the first element is stored. Once again I enter the insert for loop. J value is 1, 1 comma 1, the next value is stored. Once again I enter 1 comma 2, the third element is stored, and at 1 comma 3 the fourth element is stored. So once the j value again reaches 4, we go out of the inner for loop, and the outer for loop once again gets incremented. Now I value becomes 2. Now for the index value of row 2, I am going to read the next 4 elements that I am going to store. Similarly, this is how the reading of the values from the user using scanf statement is done, and the values are stored in a 2-dimensional array. So here we have another simple program which accepts the values from the user and store it in a 2-dimensional array, and the other later part of the code displays the same elements that are stored inside the array. So here inside the main function we have declared a 2-dimensional array. The array name is disp with 2 rows and 3 columns. So total the elements that will be stored inside this 2-dimensional array is 6. So we have the counter variables I and j. So the 2 for loops which take care of reading the values from the user and storing it into their respective positions. So we have the outer for loop which is set to I equal to 0, I is less than 2, I plus plus. This for loop represents the rows, and inside this for loop we have another for loop for j equal to 0, j less than 3, j plus plus, which take care of the column. So we ask a user to enter the values for the respective locations, and it goes on reading and storing the values inside those elements. So once the elements have been read, all the 6 elements have been read, then we move on to display the elements that are stored inside array. So the previous code what we have seen is already discussed, how to read the values from the user. Let us now focus on how to display the array elements on the screen. So we have a printf statement which prints the 2-dimensional array elements are. Then we have another 2 for loops which represents the rows and the columns values to be printed. So we have the outer for loop I equal to 0, I less than 2, I plus plus, and we have the inner for loop which represents j equal to 0, j less than 3, j plus plus. And inside the inner for loop we are going to have a printf statement which prints the value that are stored at their respective index values. Now inside that we have a condition if j equal to 2. So when this condition is reached, we move on to print the values on the new line. So let us demonstrate the code which displays the array elements. So initially I value is 0, 0 is less than 2, the condition of the outer for loop is true, so we move on to the inner for loop. So j value is 0, 0 is less than 3, the condition is satisfied, we enter the inner for loop and we print the values that are stored at the subscript I0 and J0. So the first element is displayed. We check the next condition as j equal to 2, that is 0 is equal to 2. This condition is false, so we move on to execute the next element. So j is incremented to 1, 1 is less than 3, condition is true, so we display the elements that are stored at location 0, 1. So I is 0, j is 1. We print the second element that is stored at the subscript value 0 and 1. Still the inner condition is false. We move on to the incrementing the value. Now j value is 2. So 2 is less than 3. We enter the inner for loop. At the location 1, 2, we print the third element, and then we can see that now the j value is 2, 2 equal to 2, condition is satisfied. Inside the if statement we have printf /n. This /n is used to move the cursor on the new line. So we move on to the new line as we have printed all the three elements in the first row. So we move on to the new line. Now we come out of the inner for loop, we go on to the outer for loop where I increments to 1. Now 1 is less than 2, condition is true. We move on to the inner for loop. Now j is equal to 0, 0 is less than 3, condition is satisfied. We enter the inner for loop. So in that I is 1, j is 0. The second row first element is displayed. Next we move on to increment the value of j to 1. 1 is less than 3. We move inside the for loop. Then at location 1, 1, the second element in the second row is printed. Now the j value gets incremented to 2. 2 is equal to 2 is less than 3, condition is satisfied. At location 1, 2, the third element inside the second row is displayed. Now here 2 is equal to 2, condition is satisfied. We move on to the next line, and then we come out of the inner for loop. Now I value gets incremented to 2. So 2 is less than 2, the condition gets false, and we come out of the loop. And this is how we print the array elements that are stored inside the two-dimensional array that we have declared. So here we can see that as we start the row index value from 0, so at row index 0 we store the first elements of the row. We store all the three elements. When I increments to 1, we say that the row index 1 value gets stored, and now when I value gets again incremented to 2, the third row is not present, so the condition becomes false and we come out of the program, and the values are all getting displayed. So totally we can see that we have displayed the elements, that are 6 elements with 2 rows and 3 columns. So in this presentation we saw how a two-dimensional array works. Thank you.